Well, thank you. I have a cold, but I will read my statement. I refute any allegations that question my loyalty to New Zealand. I have been nothing but upfront and transparent about my education and employment. Although I was not born here, I am proud to call myself a New Zealander, obey our laws, and contribute to this country. I challenge those who are propagating these defamatory statements to front up and prove it. This is a smear campaign by nameless people who are out to damage me and the National Party 10 days from an election, just because I am Chinese. Questions?
Which part of the article do you think is defamatory?
Say I'm a spy.
So just to be absolutely clear,
Yeah.
Are you a spy? Have you ever been a spy?
No.
Can you go a little bit more into your military intelligence training that Bill English mentioned today?
In 1978, I was admitted to the Air Force Engineering College. It's now called the Air Force Engineering University. My major was English. And then after that graduation, I stayed as a lecturer. And then for 1987, I went to Luoyang Foreign Language Institute and did my master's degree, and then spent 1 year in Nanjing University. So that was the background.
Have you had any intelligence training?
No. The reason is both Air Force Engineering University, the English department, and Luoyang Foreign Languages Institute, both of them were simply teaching English language because there was no need to do any intelligence training, because these graduates do not go overseas or to any other parts of the world.
Dr. Young, the third department runs the Luoyang Languages School.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct. Yes.
So you were part of the third department.
I was a lecturer there, a student and lecturer.
Have you ever held any rank or been part of the Chinese army?
I was a civilian officer, paid by the military, but I had no ranks. I was a lecturer.
What do you mean by civilian officer?
So that means that
you had rank.
In China, right, in the military system, you have ranking officers, you have non-ranking officers, which we call civilians in the military. I was one of civilians in the military. No ranking.
So you have never had anything to do or any links with Chinese military intelligence?
Nothing else but as a lecturer at these two universities.
What were you lecturing in?
English and American Studies.
So, my understanding is that you are taught English at those schools so you
Yes.
can decipher and intercept communications, correct?
That's correct.
So you were linked.
No, as a lecturer, in that sense, it is. But I myself never went to the military itself to do the stuff.
You just taught.
Just taught English language.
You just
Yes.
taught people to spy.
No, English language.
Well, you know, come on, be honest here.
I'm honest. I'm very honest. So at the universities, you just learn language.
But you were teaching people the language so they could spy.
So you need language to understand people. So that's why I was teaching English language.
Were you a member of the Communist Party?
Yes.
So you've come to New Zealand, you have a military intelligence background because you taught spies. You're a member of the Communist Party. Isn't it reasonable to question this?
Firstly, so when you say these spies, they do not do the physical like spying, like going overseas or these things. They were monitoring communications, right? Okay, so therefore they need English language to understand. So my job is teach them the language. I was trained to learn language, and then after that I stayed as a lecturer to teach them English language. So I taught all sorts of intensive reading, listening, all these things.
What did you do after the 5 years?
How close are you to the embassy in Wellington? Have you ever passed them any information?
No. So I've been very active in promoting the relationship. Everyone knows that. because of my background, I taught international relations. I always have interest in promoting the relationship.
Are you still a member of the Communist Party?
No, since I left China, all stopped.
What did you do after for the 5 years after you had studied at Johns Hopkins University before going to Australia?
As a matter of fact, in April 1989, when I was studying there, I got a scholarship from the Johns Hopkins University. I was a top student, a full scholarship to study in the US. But in June 1989, there was a Tiananmen Square crackdown. I was not allowed to leave China. So I returned to Luoyang Foreign Language Institute.
So you went back?
Yes.
And what were you doing
Because
there?
it's part of my study. So 1 year at Nanjing is part of my 3-year studies.
So what did you do when you went back there?
I was a lecturer, graduated and stayed as a lecturer.
Okay. Have you ever said anything critical of China?
Well, if you read you have read my maiden statement. I said China in those years because my parents, right? My parents' background, landlord and rich peasant. So they were discriminated because of politically they were not ready enough. So we suffered, right? And then 1978, China changed. I was critical of China before 1978, but I believe China is moving in the right direction. That's why I do not need really to criticize China.
Were you upfront with the National Party about your background?
Yes, from the very beginning, I made it clear to the party that I have this military background, not only to the party, but also to other people.
This is something New Zealanders wouldn't have heard about till now. Do you think they should have heard about this earlier?
Now, in March 2012, I went to China with Tim Grosser, right? The embassy, the New Zealand embassy in Beijing asked for a CV. I sent the CV. I'm not sure you have got a copy. I made it very, very clear, my military background.
But it's not on your National Party bio on your site. There's no mention of this.
That's true. Because most importantly, what I have is basically overseas experience. Well, things can be more complicated if people don't understand the background.
Have you been investigated by the SIS?
I'm not aware of that.
So you've never been interviewed by
No
them?
one, no.
Absolutely categorically deny
Absolutely. Absolutely no one from the intelligence questioned me anything.
What about your people associated with you? Do you know if they've been questioned?
I'm not sure anyone here.
Do you think, what if the investigation has happened, what would you think about that?
Well, basically, I have alerted the party that this is my background. If anything happened, I could just talk to the party, make it transparent. I have ever been transparent. If you want to know the Chinese community, many people understand I have military background. As a matter of fact, in a WeChat group, I clearly state after my name, Air Force Engineering University.
Is it pretty common within China to have a military background like this?
I think it's quite common. There are many people in New Zealand from China, they have military background, they have military experience.
What would you say to, I guess, New Zealanders that might be uncomfortable with one of their MPs who has previously taught Chinese spies?
I can understand people can be concerned because they do not understand the Chinese system. But once they understand the system, they should be assured that this is nothing really you should be concerned about. If you know my background, I've been always at universities in China and overseas. I never worked as second job in any other thing but lecturers and then MP.
You called the allegations defamatory. Are you considering legal action?
I will seek advice on that, but at the moment, I'll just focus on campaigning.
When you applied for a visa to Australia and New Zealand, did you declare that you had a military background and an intelligence background?
Well, this is very complicated. It's over 20 years ago, the system required us to use partner universities. That is why, before becoming member of parliament, you mentioned that at the university, I didn't say this. I use other universities because those are my partner universities. Now, once I became a public figure, I thought I should be transparent. So I made it very clear to the party, this is my background.
So you didn't beforehand? You didn't?
Didn't.
Well, then you haven't been telling the truth, have you?
Why not?
Because if you didn't declare when you applied for a visa...
It's a partnership university. It's required by the system because you could not leave China without using your partnership university in China. That's the system. I can't do anything. It's required by the system.
Yes, but you must have applied for a visa where,
Yes.
where you needed to state whether
Yeah.
you had military background or military intelligence background, and you did not do that, correct?
No, I did say that, I graduated from those universities linked to basically the civilian universities as partnership universities. I've been transparent because as a member of parliament, I've never been trying to hide anything. This is the bottom line.
Have you purposely not talked about this or brought it up before now, though?
Now, in the Chinese community, many people are aware of this. I feel rather relaxed, but there is no reason for me to actively let everyone know that I have this background. But whenever people ask me this background, I will not deny.
So are you embarrassed by this background? Is that why you haven't discussed it?
No,
openly?
because people may not understand this. This can be complicated.
What don't
So-
they understand specifically? What do you think that they don't understand?
They don't understand, like, military, right? This is all military, Chinese military. They let people all military. So they may feel very sensitive. Then why should I really get into this?
So you're worried that they would think you were a spy. That's why you don't discuss it.
That is why I said I could understand the concern of people here.
Okay.
But once you understand the system and the universities, then you should understand this. I am not a spy. I'm just doing as a university lecturer and student.
Okay, I just want to go back to some comments you made earlier because I'm still not clear
Yeah,
on this. Were
yeah.
you fully aware that you were teaching,
Yeah.
training spies, Chinese spies? Were you fully
Well-
aware of this?
Well, basically, as I said, now these universities, they teach English language, right? Although after graduation they do those things, but for us, just language.
No, Dr. Young, come on.
Yeah.
Did you know you were teaching Chinese spies?
If
You were teaching English to Chinese spies. Please, this is really important.
No, hang
Can
on,
we
hang
just
on.
have a
Let me-
straight,
let
can we
me
have
make
a
it
straight
clear.
answer to this?
if you define those cadets or students as spies, yes, then I was teaching spies.
So
if
were
that is the case,
Were they spies in your mind?
I
You
don't
were
think so.
aware-
I just think that they are collecting information through communication in China.
You used the words that they were monitoring communications.
Yes,
I think
that's right.
You clearly knew they were spies, didn't you?
If you define that way, then they are spies. If you define that way.
Okay.
But for us, it's just collecting information.
So what information were they monitoring? Was there any information from New Zealand that they might have been monitoring?
I
that
don't
you
think
were teaching
so.
them English for?
I don't think New Zealand is one of the countries, but I don't know. I never worked in those military units.
Okay, but you knew you were teaching them English so that they could spy on other countries and that they were using that English to monitor the communications of other countries.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so spying.
Okay, if you say spying, then spying. Yeah.
Spying.
Yeah.
I think we've gone over lots of ground now. I think it's time to get going.
Okay.